Welcome to Behind the Machine, where we explore what makes video content really work. I'm Donald Collins, founder of VCast, and for over a decade, I've helped brands tell unforgettable stories through powerful video. So, in this show, we're going to go over all the things that make video content really work. So, this is episode one, and I've brought in someone who's been behind some of VCast's most powerful productions, our VP of production, Daniel Alfonso. What's up, Daniel?
Hey, hey, how's it going, everybody?
All right, all right. So now Daniel knows gear, right? But more importantly, he's mastered how to use it in service of something far more valuable, which is the story and the viewer's journey. So this episode, we're really talking about the biggest myths in video, that the equipment is what makes or break your content. That's one of the big myths. People are worried about the 4K, the 6K, the 8K, what lighting, and all of that aspect, but they don't realize what are the biggest things that impact video, and really even in recording video, what really makes it even look good. So diving into that conversation, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's maybe we could start, Danny, on what people think, what you hear a lot of the time, and what you see a lot of the time, what people think matters in
Yeah,
video.
so um, most of the time when you don't have a background in video or you haven't been involved in any of the planning with video production in any sense, you just think more expensive or bigger equipment, bigger camera, more expensive camera means it's gonna look good. It's gonna look good without you even trying. So what's funny is that even on a smaller scale, when you this goes even into photography a little bit, where you'll talk, you might I've seen this a lot of times. Well, to talk to a photographer, they'll say, "Wow, you let me see that picture that you just took," and then they're amazed. They're like, "You have a great camera." They never say you're a great photographer. They say you've got a great camera, and that's a misconception. They're not realizing that lots of times, like you and I know, Donville, we've seen guys that have all the hottest new gear, and when they don't know what they're doing,
Oh
then
yeah.
it still looks bad.
Yeah,
It still
yeah,
looks
I've seen
bad.
it. Yeah, I know. I remember a few years ago when we were doing some of our hiring of cinematographers and videographers. We had some people send us footage of a Red camera, some different projects that they filmed in a Red. And anyone, if you're in the video space, Red camera is like one of those really top end, high tier cameras. And then we looked at the shot or the work that he created out of it, and we were like, this looks terrible. And I remember then there was another person that was a part of that whole submission of inquiries, that was someone that they didn't have a red camera. They didn't even have really a high-end cinema camera. They were using like a low-cost DSLR camera. But when you looked at the footage, that could have gone on like as a Super Bowl commercial or really high-end content. So that to me sticks out as one of those things where you can have the high-end movie cameras, but if you don't know what you're doing, it can still look like crap.
Also, for people that don't know, I've been with Donville at VCAS for basically 10 years now. And I remember when we first started, working together and doing some of the early work, that was what I was most impressed to see is
Yeah.
that, when you have a good grasp of proper lighting and composition and things like that, I learned with Donville at the beginning, he was able to make in the early days before we
Remember
scaled up
those
to what we
days?
have now. Obviously we have nicer things now, and we are staying with a much higher production quality level these days. But um what we were able to pull off with not a lot in the beginning was pretty impressive to me. I was surprised to see it myself. It was like, we had a not the hottest camera you could say at the beginning,
I remember
and
that.
but once everything was properly lit and composed, and when all the editing came into play, those commercials still stand as some of the best of our work, and that's to me is really impressive because that's the proof right there. And
Yeah.
guaranteed the clients in those cases, they they didn't know. They wouldn't have known and would have seen like a small camera and said, "Oh, I don't know about this. I don't know how this is gonna go."
Do you?
And but then they forget all about that when they see the final product and they
Oh
say,
yeah.
"Wow,
Do you remember?
this is so good."
I don't know if you remember some of this, but there were some of those earlier clients that we went to where you and I went and we did the shoot, but we went there and the camera gear was so small, and the client actually was second guessing whether they made a mistake or not. You remember some of those? It's just like I remember even, and I remember, we've made fun about this, but after a couple of those experiences, the number one, the client at the end, when they see the end product, they're always like, "Oh wow, this is what you got out of that." I was like, "Yeah, that's." And granted, the quality is not the most important part of a video, right? But the quality, what I've always said in the philosophy that I carry and that we at VCAS kind of carry in the culture is that the quality of the video prevents distractions, but the quality of the video is not what makes the video good. It just prevents distractions and helps people to delve more into the story. But I remembered when some of those clients saw the video, they were like, "Whoa, that's what you guys were able to do. You guys are good." But it was always a thing that anytime we got to the next set, the look of the camera being so minimal was so jarring for some clients after they've spent, a significant amount of money that afterward, I remember this, we made fun about this. I decided to buy a bunch of camera cages and everything to make the camera gear look more impressive, look more like a cinema camera, and it was only just so the client doesn't second guess us when we get on set. You remember that?
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's like, we already had the skill and the acumen to pull out that great quality regardless of the size of the gear or the production expense level of the gear, but a lot of the clients they still would second guess sometimes on the day of the filming on the set when they see it. So yes, Danville, I remember definitely there was one time in particular he was like, just just put the extra piece around the camera so that it looks bigger. And I remember a videographer looked at Donville like, "What?" Like he was like he almost felt like why would you do that? Why are we just making it bigger if we're not even going to use the extra piece around it? And he was like just do
I was like, it doesn't need to be on, just put it on.
it.
Yeah, because so I mean, to give the audience some context about why then did it look great, and I think we could talk about that from a technical perspective, right? And I think the big thing that people underestimate, and I think I learned this when I was in film school as well, is the importance of lighting. Lighting is the biggest factor I feel to make a not so great camera look great or make a really great camera even look better. But when you do good lighting, it almost creates a very blurred line between the camera gear itself. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that it takes knowledge and experience to understand what that means. We're saying it in the simplest terms for all of you that may not be familiar with all of this stuff. But yeah, it's a multitude of things when it comes to the type of lights, the positioning of them, the how many are you using? Do they all have a purpose? What are you providing the proper lighting to highlight the parts of the background or the area that you're in? Are you also doing enough to make your subject, the person in front of the camera, look good too? Some people don't think about both, and they're like, "Oh, I made the background look nice." And they're like, okay, but what about the guy talking in front of the camera? He does not look good. Like you gotta adjust the light on him. Or and lighting, just to make a small little bit about that. Um, when we talk about lighting a subject, lighting people, and knowing how to do that, we're talking about the fact that when it's not properly done, then people don't understand that it's the lighting is the culprit when they say, "Oh, like uh, my under eye looks very heavy. Well,
Yeah,
I look
yeah.
like I didn't sleep at all, or oh man, I must have had a rough day that day. And in some cases, it's literally just that the person filming, maybe they did not um position the lights properly in order to make you look the most flattering. So
Yeah,
that can be a very big factor. But moving even past the lighting, which is kind of like what we're leading towards. This is like the technical, and that's kind of like what Donville said. It kind of eliminates distractions when the viewer first presses play, and they trust the video, they trust the storyteller or the creator, and they're not like thinking about do they know what they're doing. If it's done right and you got the lighting right, and you have composition, and you think about all these things to use them to the best that they can be, then there still has to be something else that maintains their interest and that
yep.
maintains the overall satisfaction of, wow, that was a great video when you finish watching it. And that is
The
storytelling.
story. Yeah, the story. The storytelling is huge. So you've become like a huge uh I mean, we have people and clients that just call your name, they sing your praises when it comes to storytelling. And I know a lot of that is a lot of what we've developed over time, but let's talk a little bit about that storytelling, because that's really, I always say that's the main thing, is why we say the popular term that everyone says content is king, because no matter how great your video looks, if the storytelling, the engagement is not there, none of what you've done technically matters. So talk
Right.
about like how, what's the secret sauce?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, at least to kind of pull this into a more tangible perspective of examples that maybe our audience has probably seen. So let's take, for example, social media. And, they say, well, how come this video got like 10,000 views, but it looks like they poorly recorded, or they didn't, do any of that stuff that I just said. Well, there you go. It could be that what is actually filmed in the video, the content, or what is happening, or what it's about, or the message that is being said, is so impactful that it overrides all of that. And that is, in a nutshell, the power of powerful storytelling. If now storytelling can be stretched liberally when you talk about social media, because it could be it could be something that isn't really a story. It's just like, oh man, look at that crazy person that kind of fell on their face in a crazy way. But that is, in a nutshell, a very, very tiny story. Believe it or not, that's what happened. So even if it was 2 seconds long or 5 seconds long, 10,000 people watched it because of what happened, because it was so impactful and engaging. Now, when you talk about more professional purposes and corporate purposes, nonprofit purposes, then you're talking about actually something that has to maintain the attention span for a little bit longer, 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and sometimes even 10. So in that case, then you have to make sure that it's all purposeful. Donville knows that I'm a stickler for something that I call fluff. I feel
Hmm.
like fluff is the extra words that aren't really purposefully adding anything to the video. Or maybe it's something that you already said within the first 30 seconds, and it becomes repetitious in a certain way. And it's
Yep.
like, okay, it's no longer serving a purpose. So you know what happens when you repeat something that you've already said clearly at the beginning of the video, or when it doesn't have a new purpose? Well, the person that's watching the video starts to drift off. They start to
Yeah.
daydream. They start to maybe just say, I'm going to just stop watching this video. I'm going to
Yeah,
exit
move
out.
on.
So that's why storytelling is absolutely important, that you have a purpose to your video, that you have maybe key points that you were trying to hit with your video, and
Yep.
then that you find perhaps maybe even the best person to speak these things or convey these things. Maybe it's not you. Maybe it's not only you. Maybe the messaging in your video is better suited to be spread across maybe you and one or two other people because they also are knowledgeable in the points that you're trying to convey in the video. So those
Yeah.
are just a couple of things. What do you think, Domino?
Yeah, and I think that a big part of this too, like at least in that content and in storytelling, is one of the things you used to remember me talk about this is the importance of the first couple seconds in the video. I used to always be a stickler with all the staff and I'm saying that look, within the first 3 seconds, whoever this video is targeted for, which means of course that we have to have decided beforehand who the video is targeted to, whoever this is for, we need to let them know this video is for you. You're in the right place. Don't move on. Because people at the start of a video are always wondering first, am I wasting my time? Am I in the right place? Our objective in those first few seconds is to tell the people that we do want to keep watching, you are in the right place. And then secondly, after that is then as you continue to your point, is then keeping them there, making sure they're getting the questions answered or getting getting the intrigue or the curiosity intrigued enough to want to get more information or to ask more questions or to dig in a little bit more and investigate a little bit more. So ensure that your story engages them, piques their interest, and fulfills. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm always thinking, and I always ask our clients, well, at the end of the video, what do you want them to do? Making sure that it's clear that it doesn't just fall off as a great memory, but most of the time we fail to ask people to actually do something
Yeah.
when they've
Call
enjoyed
to
this video.
action.
Yeah,
Call to
call
action.
to
This is
action.
a phrase that I'm sure many of you watching have heard before. If you haven't applied it in video format, then that's basically what it is that um, most of the time these videos are meant to initiate an action in your audience, in your target audience. So you want to make sure that that's clear and that's present at least at some point in your video. Most of the time, it makes the most sense to be at the very end because once that video ends, they should know what they're going to do.
Yep,
So,
yep,
or
yep.
what action you'd like them to take. So, I think that's plenty of tips to get started.
Yeah,
So,
so
if
I
you don't
so
catch it this
so
time,
to
and
the
go ahead.
point of his call to action, please do subscribe, like the video, share it to someone you know, someone in marketing, an executive, a creative, whatever it is, share it around and take these pieces and integrate it. And thank you for joining, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of Behind the Machine. Have a great day.
Thanks for watching, everybody.